Ciao my lovelies, it's me the D. Today we are going to be discussing my fall TBR. Listen, I know y'all don't know me like that, at least not yet, but fall is my favorite time of the year. I'm just saying, this is my favorite season and I am so hyped. It's insane. I have a priority TBR for the fall season. We're gonna get into all the books here in a second, but I just want to say, I feel like for a lot of people, especially people who enjoy the kind of books I like, this is their favorite season. And I know I spend insanely by the end of this fall season, so I think we might have to discuss some of the things I've been buying as well, but that's like a different video. Maybe all my like bookish buys. Who knows? We'll see. We're gonna get into all the books. I don't know if I have them physically. I'm just gonna throw pictures up today because I do not feel like searching for nothing. First book up for discussion is going to be Frankenstein, but Junji Ito's version specifically. I've read that collection before, but I'm also going to be reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelly, I believe, the original writer of it, this year. I'm planning on being Bride of Frankenstein this Halloween, so I just want to make sure I get my information right. So the story of Frankenstein is about a scientist who creates a man from a bunch of different corpses and sewn together, and how he makes him come to life. And I know the main point of the story is that he is scared and does not understand and cannot control Frankenstein, which of course creates a lot of issues for him. Like Frankenstein and Junji Ito is, I'm pretty sure, the actual story, but since I haven't read the classic, I can't say that for sure. Yeah, the story of Frankenstein is very father-son, and they have different ideas of life and love and things like that. And so reading the Junji Ito version, I'm not sure if it's relevant or super close to the actual text by Mary Shelley, but that's why I'm going to be reading both of them this season. The next thing we'll be talking about is something I've had for 2 years, and I've tried to read it 2 different times in the last 2 years, okay? It's Scream for Us. This is about our main girl, Quinn. She goes to a Halloween party, and she is saved by a masked guy at the party, and she says, wow, thank you for saving me. And then somehow, some way, she ends up back at this other location with 3 masked men, and it's a very sexy story. And I am so bad with sexual stuff, especially in books, that I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it every year. But this year, I'm guaranteeing myself I'm gonna read that book. It's really short. It's 82 pages on Amazon. So I'm going to be reading it. I'm very scared. That's the scary, all the gore and horror in the world, and I'm scared of sex. I also am planning on reading Slewfoot by Brahm. I know that this book is about a witch, and I think her setup is that her husband and her owned a farm, and he suddenly passed away. And so it's in a Puritan kind of establishment way back when. They think she is a witch for some reason, and there's also a sleeping god. And I'm assuming those two are gonna work together somehow, and I feel like it's a good for her story about, like, you know, men being rude and trying to take her land. So yeah, I plan on reading that. I don't really know if I'll be into it though. I haven't really read any books about witches, so I'm kind of curious to see how that's gonna go for me. Honestly, I'm a bit nervous about this book because I don't do well with historical, and I've never read anything with witches, so I'm kind of going into this with like a skeptical view of anything to do with it. But I heard it's a good for her story, so I think I'm gonna hopefully like it for that aspect. Next, I have American Rapture by C.J. Lead. This book is about our main girl, Sophie. She is a Catholic girl who has been grown up being told that she should not have any kind of sexual relations, anything related to anything lustful, right? And so in this book, there is a disease going through the country. It feels like a COVID country, infected people situation, but the disease is making people lustful, and I'm pretty sure somehow it's eating them inside out. So she's trying to go across country to her, I believe her brother, and make sure he's okay and not being infected. Yeah, I just think this book will be interesting, mainly because I heard Mayfly by this author was pretty good, but this feels more my speed for like trying somebody new. I am curious to what the disease does to people, because if it's like a lust thing and she's never been through anything sexual, does that mean she's like immune to this disease? Curious to find out. This is a book that haunts me in my dreams. It is House of Leaves. I do not know how to say the author's name. Mark Danielewski. Danielewski. This is basically about a family who moves into a house, and for some reason, some way, the house is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. I believe this book is also broken up into 3 different parts. And so I heard this is a very difficult book to understand. If you actually look through it, it's got a few different formats, and it seems like documentation, and then maybe he falls into madness or something related to that. I have avoided knowing what was going on with this book for years, and I'm finally gonna do it. And if I don't, I swear, I gotta start giving myself punishments. If I don't finish books, I say, I've been meaning to read this forever. That's gonna be, I wanna say, a priority. Take a shot every time I say priority. Another book that's been on my mind a lot is Sorcery and Other Small Magics. And it's another book about magic, magicians, that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure this is a romance, though, between the 2 magicians. So there is a magician who can do small magics, and he ends up accidentally doing a curse of some sort on someone who is very prominent and well liked in the area. Another magician, I don't even know, okay? I don't know, I don't care. It sounds like magic. They gotta go on a journey to break a spell. That's all I got. So this is one of those blackout buys I just recently did, and it is called Halloween Fiend. And this is about a area where they have to sacrifice a person to this creature called Halloween every year. And so I think it's this year that someone decides they're not going to follow that ritual, and it is basically the consequences of whatever happens when you don't feed Halloween. I have something called I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me, which is about a black ballerina who is in a cutthroat school or production or something, and she has decided that she is willing to risk it all to be the prima donna ballerina. And so she ends up sacrificing something herself, and she ends up having to keep pushing the limits of what she's willing to give to be this top-notch ballerina. And so I'm pretty sure there's murders involved for fame. I'm just curious to see what she's willing to do. Again, if the beast is her, is she like hurting herself to be better than the other girls? Like, I don't know. And I want to see what she's gonna do. I think those are all the books. That's not true. Okay. I also picked up Maggie's Grave by David Sodergren. Is about a witch who was burned centuries ago coming back for her revenge. And I believe the whole town is at her mercy. But yeah, Maggie's Grave has been heavy on my mind. This is another one of my blackout buys I did. And so I'm gonna try and prioritize that one. And the last thing we're gonna be talking about for my fall TBR is the Dungeons Anarchist Cookbook, which is the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, book 3. Again, I'm tired of saying the same thing. It is basically an aliens Hunger Games where it's anything can go and your brain can never catch up with the concepts as they are happening. You're just in it for the vibes, honestly. So I'm gonna get back on that. I'll probably end up reading 3 and 4 in these next 3 months. But yeah, those are all the books I'm planning on reading, and hopefully you guys will stick around to hear me talk about these things. But if not, it's all cool. We all got stuff to do. It's the best season, we got stuff to do. So that's on top of doing cutesy stuff with like pumpkins and apples, and I make a dessert every week in a fall-based meal. So I'm booked and busy, and I am just going to be trying to enjoy the season. There are many other books I'm trying to read throughout this time, but I'm not gonna try and say all those because I feel like as soon as I say I have these extra books, I feel like I'm gonna jinx myself and not read anything. That's everything, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.